Fire for them, fire for them. If you're looking for that 35 bag umbrella and all damn thing there, keep it locked with DISUNOMICS podcast.
Yo, what's going on, people? Another edition of the Monday Morning Gist. Hope you had a good one. Hope the snow didn't pan you too much. But we're going to try to run through some of the most important news stories of the last 7 days that I believe will be relevant towards yourself. So first, we're going to start with the vaccine news. So you may or may not know one of the main vaccines, Oxford AstraZeneca. I read something on the FT that it's looking a bit spooky, small, with regards to the South African variant. So the gist is the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is not as effective compared with the South African variant compared to the Kent quote unquote variant. I'm gonna get to that in further details. So let's first look at the vaccines minister, Nadine Zahawi. He will speak to BBC and Andrew Marshall on Sunday discussing this, and he said that they are in talks with manufacturers of the vaccines to make sure that they are going to be able to update and be effective against all these new variants. The current vaccinations are effective against the most variants, but this South African one is proving a bit more difficult. If the South African variant becomes the more dominant variant, will lockdown measures have to stay in place? Obviously, the current vaccines have some effects on both the UK and South African variant, but at the moment, we deploy the vaccines how we have, and after that, they offer protection from serious illness, hospitalization, deaths, and that's what we need to do. Well, the current gist is, according to the FT, that looking at a study of 2,000 people, some who have received a vaccination, some looking at blood. Currently, in terms of, it does not stop mild to moderate symptomatic COVID. So there are mild to moderate cases, but out of the 2,000, none of it led to death, none of it led to hospitalization. Of course, these are preliminary early stage results. They could produce a vaccine that could deal with these variants. And they're more speaking about having more of an annual flu setting for the COVID vaccine, because obviously viruses do mutate, and as they mutate, you need to be able to be hands on deck. Professor Sarah Gilbert, she's the architect of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, says that the South African variant, they've already been working on it in terms of tweaking it so the vaccine is fully effective against this, but she did state it's likely to be ready until autumn. So obviously, we are currently hoping that this variant, the South African variant, does not become the most dominant one, because people are more likely to have mild or moderate COVID symptoms. Whereas with the current other vaccinations against the other variants, people receive 95 to 96%, depending on the vaccine, no symptoms whatsoever. 12 million people have been vaccinated. Well, received the first dosage, which is good news. The government aimed for 40 million by mid-February. Obviously, this does not include doubled both dosages. So they're likely to receive the second dose within 12 weeks or maybe a bit more. So that's some decent news. And also, I've seen a lot of chat about vaccine passports. This, according to the government as of now, this is not going to happen. So the vaccine minister said, firstly, vaccines in this country are not compulsory. They're not mandated, so we can't really implement that. Also, it's not known whether this vaccine will stop transmission, so it doesn't really make sense. Keeping on the COVID theme, workplace testing. Testing in the workplace will be offered to more companies in England for obviously staff members that cannot work from home during the pandemic. So before, you need up to 250 staff minimum to be able to apply for this. Now, if they've dropped the number to 50, you can receive the flow test, which will produce results within 30 minutes. So they've released a website where you could go on and look. I'm going to add the link if it's out already into this description, don't worry about that. And the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, is basically urging for staff members and companies to get involved in this to help protect against the spread of the virus, which makes perfect sense to me. And the last from the COVID theme is quarantine hotel. So those who are on my IG would have seen me talk about this, so let me update the YouTube people then. Essentially, from February the 15th, if you are flying from, at the moment, there are 33 countries. I have people in Zim complaining about this. Democratic Republic of Congo, Portugal, Brazil, United Arab Emirates. If you're coming from one of these 33 countries, and this list will update, names might get dropped, names might get added, so make sure you're watching that. If you are coming from these lists, doesn't matter if you're UK citizen or not, you will have to quarantine in a designated government facility for 10 days. As far as we are aware and what the streets are saying, the traveller will be charged for this at £80 per night, so that's £800. You won't be able to have visitors because it's going to be tightly manned by security to stop against unauthorized visitors, as well as they're going to have government officials working there at the hotel staff. So they've linked up with they've spoken to over 60 different hotels, and on all the airports in the UK. So we're looking at Edinburgh, we're looking at Glasgow, Bristol, Birmingham, Manchester, London Gatwick, London Heathrow. They're contacting hotels and transportation businesses in and around the airports for obvious reasons, to keep people there and to quarantine them effectively. So the government's really ramping up its quarantine measures. Some, including me, say this is way too late. We've been through doing this before. And of course, they've introduced, you have to have a negative test flying in and out of the country. So that is something to look out for. Further details will come. And as the details come, of course, I'll give it to you. I'm Nigerian, so this hits home quite heavily. So the Nigerian Central Bank, which is an independent body, well, should be independent, but good luck, Jonathan will tell you differently about that. That's story for another day. That is in control of the country's money supply, focus on monetary policy, which is changing interest rates with the view of protecting the economy of said country. So the Nigerian Central Bank has effectively outlawed cryptos. How have they outlawed cryptos? Well, they have said, and they sent a letter, and everybody's got this letter, it's all over the internet. They have basically told all banks in Nigeria and financial institutions, you cannot host accounts for cryptocurrency exchanges. So some of the listeners, they may have had a young Coinbase, do you know what I mean? A young Binance or whatever. So if you have similar platforms like this in Nigeria, you cannot, no bank is legally allowed to take in your money. So effectively, these exchanges can't operate in Nigeria. This makes purchasing cryptos very difficult for Nigerian natives because the banks that they have bank accounts with, they can't hold exchanges. So you can't sign up and all that type of stuff. It's very, very bad. So you won't be able to use your Nigerian bank card or any financial institution to process transactions on a cryptocurrency exchange. So unless you have, like, let's say for example, I went to live in Nigeria for a year, I will still have my Barclays and Monzo, my Sterling, whatever. I will still be able to go on Coinbase because of this, but obviously a Nigerian native is less likely to have this. The new rules also ask banks to identify persons or entities transacting in or operating currency exchanges within their systems and ensure such accounts are closed immediately. So they are moving raggo with it. Very, very raggo. This is very interesting because cryptos have been extremely popular in Nigeria over the last years. Outside of the United States, in terms of peer-to-peer transactions for Bitcoin, Nigeria is the second most in the world. Some people will say 419. Not me personally, I'm a patriot. Allegedly. But it makes sense. The Naira's in the gutter. Last time I checked the Naira to a pound, it was like 0.0019 or something nuts like that. The Naira's in the gutter. And what the central bank is trying to do is, by fire, by force, protect its currency. But it's failing miserably. Like, this has done nothing. The central bank has always recently it's imposed tough rules around foreign exchange, which I'm going to get into a bit later. In December 2020, the Nigerian Central Bank ordered a stopping of domestic currency transfers in respect to foreign remittances through international money transfer operators. So essentially, they were like, yeah, you can't be shipping out Naira via these money transfer stuff. We're not having that. They want you to continue to use Naira. So it's very, very ridiculous, very, very unfortunate and demoralizing that the Nigerian Central Bank have taken this action. And it's very annoying because this is also another opportunity for wealth transfer for young Nigerians or elderly Nigerians, everyday Nigerians to be able to, do you know what I mean? Make potentially money, trade, and also be involved with the digital world. And of course, they've taken this away. The Central Bank of Nigeria have also warned of stiff penalties to any bank or financial institution that fails to comply with this directive. Absolutely shambolic, and that's just my personal opinion. I don't give a heck. It's a joke thing. So yeah, that's it. This week's Monday morning gist. I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, my boy Mahomes won the Super Bowl. We finna find out. Make sure you subscribe to Patreon. So if you want to see more visual content like this, got loads of sick guests coming from my podcast and be visuals for that and all types of stuff. Also, talk on investment. I'm going to pat on my boy David Bell. We're going to do some weekly or bi-weekly market talk. If you want to see more of this, jump on the Patreon link below. You get me? And also, make sure you listen to the podcast on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, and all other relevant places. My socials are below. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what else to say. Peace and blessings.